Hi there,
Hey.
we're Sean and Allison from Spoken Garden, and we're partnering with Eden Brothers to help you in your garden.
Yeah, we're going to show you how to sow your carrot seeds indoors and outdoors step by step today.
Yeah, but before we get to that, it's helpful to know that carrots are actually a cold season root vegetable and they're cold tolerant. They can be sown in either the spring or the fall.
And whether you're sowing them indoors or outdoors, you're going to need to make sure to site them in the correct location in your garden. So they're going to need full sun or part sun, and they're going to need deep, loose, well-draining soil. Before we show you how to plant these seeds today, we want to let you know some information about carrots. Carrots are a vegetable crop with a very characteristic tap root, and so that's what you're actually going to be growing and harvesting later. Carrots are known as an annual vegetable crop, and they're hardy in zones 2 through 10. Now, carrots will generally germinate anywhere from 50 to 90 days, and carrots are great in a lot of different culinary dishes. So today, we're going to show you how to sow Thumbalina carrot seeds, and Thumbalina carrots are a smaller globe-sized carrot. They only get 1 to 2 inches in diameter. Now, Thumbalina seeds can take anywhere from 10 to 21 days to germinate, and they will mature in about 70 days. Now, Thumbelina carrots can be sown indoors or outdoors. They're super easy to grow and maintain, and there's no peeling necessary once you start to prepare them for any culinary dishes. These carrots are an heirloom variety, and they have a very sweet and slightly crisp texture to them. They're gonna get about 4 to 8 inches tall at maturity. Thumbelina carrots are really easy to grow in container gardens or culinary gardens, and they taste wonderful in stews and salads.
So before we sow the seeds, let's talk about when to plant them so you can actually prepare ahead a little bit. Most taproot vegetables like to be planted outside because they don't like to be transplanted, but you can sow them inside, and I'll talk about that in just a sec. So for outdoor sowing of carrots, it kind of depends on when you want to harvest them and as far as when you need to back up your timing to plant them in the ground. To direct sow your seeds in the spring, you're going to want to make sure your soil outside is workable, meaning it's warmed up and it's ready to go. We double check your nighttime temperatures and make sure that they're consistently above at least 55 degrees Fahrenheit. For a summer harvest, sow your carrot seeds at least 3 to 5 weeks before your last spring frost date to get them going. For a fall harvest, time it out so that you sow your seeds at least 10 weeks before your first fall frost. And lastly, for indoor sowing, you can sow them in seed cells and get them started early. Time it so it's 3 to 5 weeks before your last spring frost date so you can get them germinated and growing, and then have time to harden them off and transplant them into your outdoor garden.
All right, let's get these carrot seeds sown indoors. The first step is to get your soil ready for planting. We're using seed cell trays here filled with seed starting soil, and you can see that the soil is pre-moistened. The next step is to get ready for sowing, and it's helpful to have a tool handy like a seed dibber or even a chopstick or a knife to make your seed planting holes. This is our tool, the Diby XL. Each seed needs to be planted at 1/4 of an inch deep. So we're going to use our Diby XL tool to make small indentations in each hole. Carefully remove your seeds from the packet and drop at least 2 to maybe 3 seeds into each planting hole. Carefully cover each planting hole with a little bit of soil. Gently moisten the top of your soil to start the germination process. And that's how you sow your carrot seeds indoors.
When your carrots reach 2 inches tall, they'll be ready to transplant outside, but you're going to need to harden them off first. You can see here that these seedlings aren't exactly 2 inches tall yet, but once they do reach 2 inches, we'll then start the hardening off process to get them transplanted out into the garden. Now, if you're wondering what the hardening off process is, it's a 2-week period where you progressively bring your plants out to stay outside longer and longer, and then the last couple days you keep them out overnight where they get used to your local climate, and then you can transplant them directly into the ground. Also, make sure to transplant them 1 to 2 weeks before your last frost date and your soil is actually workable and the ground is not frozen. When you're ready to transplant your seedlings from the indoor sowing, you're going to need to bring them out and you're going to need to thin them because there's a lot of different seedlings growing together here. So what you're going to need to do is take them out just like I showed you, and you're going to need to carefully separate these out. Don't be too rough with them. And just lay them out nicely on the soil to get an idea of how many you have. Once you have all your seedlings thinned, you can just space them like we have here, about 2 to 3 inches apart. Then you'll just need to place them right in the soil. We're going to use our Diby XL to make the planting holes, and you're going to want to make sure to get all those roots down into that hole right there and plant them relatively close to how deep they were planted in the seedling tray. Once you're done transplanting your seedlings, you're gonna need to immediately water them in with a nice mist spray. Just get them nice and watered in, soak the soil so they have that good contact with the soil and their roots.
All right, let's direct sow our carrot seeds outdoors now. The first thing is to get your soil ready for planting, just like indoor sowing. But outside, you want to make sure that your soil's well amended with compost. You want to moisten it first and remove any rocks or debris from the soil. By removing all the debris first, you can make sure that the carrot size is not impacted and the length of the carrots are uniform. The next step is to get ready for sowing, which includes depth and spacing for your seeds. We're going to make a trench with our Diby XL so that we can plant all of our carrot seeds. The depth for these seeds needs to be 1/4 of an inch deep, spaced about 2 to 3 inches apart. Next, carefully remove your seeds from the packet and drop 2 to 3 seeds. Carefully cover each planting hole with a little bit of soil. Finally, gently moisten the top of the soil to start your germination process. And that's how you sow your carrot seeds outdoors.
Now in the weeks ahead, you're going to need to make sure that you keep the soil consistently moist and watch for any diseases or insects that might come and want to give you any trouble with your carrots. Your carrots will be ready to harvest around about the time they're about 4 to 8 inches tall, and the carrots themselves are about 1 to 2 inches in diameter.
You can expect to harvest your carrots in about 50 to 75 days. If you harvest too early though, they can result in bland tasting carrots. Harvest when the carrot tops reach at least 6 inches in height. You can test if your carrots are ready to be harvested by pulling one carrot up to see if it is as wide as your thumb or at least 1/2 inch in diameter. Harvest by gently pulling up on the green leaves of each carrot. Twist and it should come right up out of the ground. And final tip, make sure to harvest them in the early morning after watering when the plants are least stressed and the stems are really strong.
Now, if you're looking for more vegetable planting, growing, or harvesting tips, you can always go to EdenBrothers.com and check out their planting guides.
And we hope this video was really helpful for you in sowing your carrot seeds. And from us at Spoken Garden and Eden Brothers, thank you so much for watching.